because this is the word of the Lord to Christian musicians. I cannot use you if you play for secular artists that are sinful and help them prosper. Many Christian musicians, they have become gig players. They have side jobs where they help the wicked prosper, and no longer can you be the sound engineer for the wicked. No longer can you be the drummer for a band at a seedy bar just because they needed a musician. Who are you? What are you doing? I thought you were on the Lord's side. So which side are you on? So now the love of money causes you to help darkness and support darkness and push darkness and help their movie and help their sound and help their music get to the top of the charts. They were celebrated by Satan and you helped them get to the top. No, God can't tolerate that anymore. It's like, who is on the Lord's side? You either righteous or you either holy or you're going to be on the other side helping Satan. So somewhere along the line, and this last day culture, guess what, you don't get a chance to live for eternity in extreme opulence without having to give up something on this side.
Okay. Oh boy. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Sound Travels is pleased to present to some and introduce to others the heart of Sound Travels. Nearer, my God, to thee, Chaplain Nearer, ably assisted by the Wolf.
Hello.
Good morning.
And he's Brother Dan Vale.
Good morning.
And he's Brother Dan Vale. I lost him.
Oh boy.
Good morning, Nira. Dan's not talking to me this morning.
I'm good. I
morning,
can barely
Dan.
hear you, though.
Good morning, Bishop. How are you
How are
today?
you?
Hang on. She said she could barely hear you.
doing
Hang on
good.
a second. Let me fix that. Give me a second. Let me fix that. Barely here.
How's everybody?
Try it now.
Still sleepy, but good.
Good morning? Hang on. Is that you, Dan? Did you call back? Something happened?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Sound Travels is pleased to present to some and introduce to others my brother from another mother. He's whiter than Casper's ghost. He is Dan Vale.
Yay!
Okay.
Out of the right corner in the white trunks.
All right. So now here's the problem. I don't think Nira heard this. So, Nira, did you heard what I played?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to have to play it again. And it's only a couple of seconds, so give me just a second here. Let me play this again because it is the basis for our discussion today. Let me scan back and see where this is. Okay, stop. I know where it is. There it is. Okay, here we go.
Oh, any of you that listen to this, you need to send this to all of the Christian musicians. Because this is the word of the Lord to Christian musicians. I cannot use you if you play for secular artists that are sinful and help them prosper. Many Christian musicians, they have become gig players. They have side jobs where they help the wicked prosper, and no longer can you be the sound engineer for the wicked. No longer can you be the drummer for a band at a seedy bar just because they needed a musician. Who are you? What are you doing? I thought you were on the Lord's side. So which side are you on? So now the love of money causes you to help darkness and support darkness and push darkness and help their movie and help their sound and help their music get to the top of the charts. They were celebrated by Satan and you helped them get to the top. No, God can't tolerate that anymore. It's like, who is on the Lord's side? You either righteous or you either holy or you're going to be on the other side helping Satan. So somewhere along the line, and this last day culture, guess what, you don't get a chance to live for eternity in extreme opulence without having to give up something on this side.
Looking for an injection-free GLP?
Okay. So, because now we're all on the same page. We've all heard it. Some of us have heard it twice. Okay.
I personally love that pastor. I've been listening to him for years. He's spot on just about everything, but I think he's wrong on this one.
So, Nira, this is the pastor from the Lionheart Church.
Okay.
I've somebody
Down around Atlanta.
Is it? Well, yeah, Atlanta. I just sound like the South when you say
A little bit.
it.
Atlanta's burning. Atlanta's burning.
Tell Mrs. Nussbaum that I'm still waiting for your shout out, which you haven't done yet. So I'm just giving giving you a chance to fix it before it gets too crazy.
Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Linda. She's getting ready to leave early for physical therapy, so she's still trying to get that bionic knee there working right.
All she has to do with physical therapy is just kick you more.
Don't give her any ideas.
Just double the regime of kicking Dan upside his head.
Yeah.
That will help. Bishop is sitting over here looking at me like I have lost my ever-loving mind. Come on, Bishop.
Okay. For the past few weeks, Brother Dan Vale and I have been on the same page. And as of this morning, we break ranks.
Okay.
Bishop. I'm so disappointed.
I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed. I don't know. So, all right, continue.
Okay. I don't know this particular pastor.
Yeah. I don't either. So this is perfect.
I saw this clip yesterday.
Interesting. So yeah.
I've been a gospel singer for the better part of my young life and my adult life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been exclusively gospel, period.
Mm-hmm.
I was brought up in what one would call the Holiness Church. Others might call the Apostolic Church. Someone else might call the Pentecostal Church. And in any case, my experience has been, and my belief structure causes me to stay away from and not participate in those areas. I have a few scriptures here.
Okay.
But I'm going to wait.
Yeah. Well, hold off on that. All right. Chaplain Nera, what say you?
I'm actually a little bit down the middle. Having been a worship leader for about 15 years or so at this point, having grown up with music as my gift and all of those things, on the one hand, we should not dim that gift because that is a gift from God for me, and I am not supposed to use it for anything other than God. But at the same time, how else are we to reach the lost unless we're where the lost are?
Bingo.
And so there's this kind of strange middle road, I think, of just because I'm not in a place that most Christians would be doesn't mean that I'm not glorifying God in it and that I'm not shining a light. Because if nobody ever goes to certain places, there's no light there. And so if I can be the one to bring that light there and not allow the darkness to creep into me, then I don't see how that is unchristian. I guess, is kind of where I fall in that. Now, I've never been a part of a secular band before, but I have been in venues with them. I've helped them out with sound. I've never been one of the musicians, but I've helped them out with sound. And I've been able to be a light to them. And if I had never been there, if I had never accepted that invite, I never would have been able to share the gospel with them. And so I kind of have this weird middle ground with it.
Okay. Brother Wolf?
Well, I am in the middle as well, but for kind of a different reason. And honestly, that reason is I think what we're dealing with here can very quickly turn into a slippery slope. And I am going to give one example that, I'm going to be honest, might tick a few people off, but I don't care because it's the truth. We have to quit pretending and accept that the majority of the Christian record industry is owned and ran by the same people that run the secular industry. Not all of it, but the majority of it, the majority of the big Christian labels is owned by secular companies, is ran by the same people the secular record industry is. So, number one, we have to quit living in that fallacy that the Christian record industry is this completely separated, wholly set apart thing, because it's not. It's just made to look like that, and that's where the slippery slope comes in. Let's compare two men who are Christians but live very different public lifestyles. Lenny Kravitz and Michael Tate. One of them is open with their sin and their issues and struggles. The other one made a profession out of hiding them while being a very good musician. But I would ask you which one of them has done more to reach people for Christ, and which one has done more to turn people away and make someone twice as much a child of hell as themselves.
Well, okay, I know of one of those that was mentioned. I had never heard of the other one, so I'm going to go with the one that I know. I'm going to say Mr. Kravitz, Lenny Kravitz. If he's professing Christianity, I've never heard of it. He has
a tattoo, brother. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
He has a tattoo across the top of his back that says, "My heart belongs to Jesus Christ."
Okay.
He wears shirts that say "Jesus saves" to award show after parties, and he witnesses on his Instagram.
Okay. And like I said, I did not know any of that. I did know that he did a lot of community stuff in terms of showing up at different things, and there's some filming of him.
Brother.
Pardon?
And I was going to say yes, brother. And the song "Are You Gonna Go My Way," his most popular song, if you look at the lyrics, that's actually a song about Jesus Christ. He literally wrote that song as a way to tell Jesus' story through the secular record industry.
Okay, wonderful.
Then we have... Sorry, go
ahead. I've never heard of the other gentleman, so I don't know anything about him.
Newsboys.
He's the now shamed former lead singer of the Newsboys. Not Furler, the original, the replacement lead singer, is now no longer a part of the Newsboys, and to my understanding is facing some legal charges.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm going to weigh in here because I have been, I've been on this line and on this fence my entire career once it became evident that this is who I am. I started in 2-bit sleazy dives. There's no other way to put it. I did my time, shall we say, in bars, in honky-tonks, in cat houses, in quarter movie houses, X-rated movie houses. I've become adept at what I do because I've worked everywhere for everybody for any reason. So it is difficult for me to draw such a very hard line as this pastor. I understand completely what he's saying. And now Bishop has some scripture he wants to read. Bishop?
Okay. let me begin by saying this, okay? Lenny Kravitz, I'm familiar with. The other gentleman, I'm not so much. But I am familiar with Lionel Richie, who was the core, really, of the Commodores.
Yes.
One of his most famous songs is "Jesus is Love."
Yes.
It is sung in a number of different venues, including churches.
Mm-hmm.
And some might even say that it is a gospel song.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that it is gospel inspired. Since leaving the Commodores, he has been the judge on American Idol for a number of years. Somebody said, "Well, what's wrong with American Idol? What's wrong with that? They're aspiring singers." Well, take a look at the name of it. That's the first thing.
Okay.
And he's judging the talent for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The singers of the church, the worship leaders of the church, the musicians of the church have a responsibility, because now we are fulfilling the role of a Levite. We're fulfilling the role of a servant of God in his house. And when we consider, excuse me, with the book of Leviticus, chapter 10, verses 1 and 2, the sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, they offered unto the Lord strange fire, and subsequently they were put to death for it. God burned them up. And then beyond that, God says to Moses, tell Aaron not to even grieve for them. It is reiterated in Numbers chapter 3 and verse 4, and also in Numbers chapter 26 and 61. Strange fire, something that God had not authorized, something that God did not approve of. These two gentlemen, these two priests, were killed for it. We are also admonished to be holy as the Lord our God is holy. In that, the promotion of secular music. Now, someone say, "Well, they're love songs. They're songs that are inspirational." Okay. Well, if we don't be among them, how can we win them? The question is also, if we're not living holy before them, how can they be saved? We're the only Bible some people are going to read. If I'm forever, if your impression of me is when you see me, I'm always at a bar, and I'm always drinking, and I'm always intoxicated, would you consider me a Christian? Would you consider me a disciple of Jesus Christ? I would beg to say that your answer would be no. You would call me a drunk.
Okay. The issue, and for me, the issue becomes the extremes. As I said, because of my perceived talent.
Mm-hmm. It's not perceived, it's real.
It's real?
It's real.
All right, thank you. I am called to work in all sorts of venues. Mm-hmm. And just, I want to say 2 years ago, I was called by a blues magician, a blues singer.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, same thing, wise guy. And doing sound for him in a bar. a well-known local blues artist. I'm not saying his name, but if I said it, everybody would recognize him. He's a harmonica player, and he's been on the national stage and got videos and all sorts of stuff. He's played with all the greats, so he's well known. But I've also was called to work a private party for him down on the Cape. So, he pays well. He doesn't argue. He's easy to work with, which is quite, it's good that that happens, because I've worked with some people who claim to be Christian, and they are not easy to work with, nor have a clue of what they're trying to accomplish. And they're the artist.
Yeah.
So, I find myself in a peculiar position when it comes to this question. I mentioned in the chat that this comes from, one of the chats, that I drove Uber for almost 3 years. The first 3 years of my pastorate, I drove Uber because I had to pay the bills and I had to survive, and that's what I did. And more than one time, I could be charged with aiding, abetting major amounts of sin.
Okay.
More than one time. But I could also be charged with, I got to say this properly, blocking. Blank blocking. Because I was able to say a few things in the car to the couple that made the woman, never the guy, that made the woman question exactly who she was before she got where she was going to do what they were clearly going to do.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is a very difficult one for me. It almost comes down because, yes, offering the strange fire. Yes, touching the idol and dying. Yeah, I mean, not the idol, the ark. The ark and dying. Doing what you perceive to be God's work against what God has said. The ark is pretty clear. If it's going to fall, let it fall. God knew what he was talking about.
No. It wasn't about if it falls, let it falls. It was about they were transporting the ark in a manner that God had not prescribed. The priests were to carry it.
Right.
And they set it on a cart.
Oh, really? It's always good to learn stuff.
Yeah.
I did not. I thought they were carrying it as prescribed with the poles and the rings.
No.
Nope, it would have never fallen if it had been.
Okay. Well, I can't know everything.
My 2 cents worth on this question.
Give us a quarter worth. We're excited.
We'll call it situational ethics. Is I think what it would fall under. I was a truck driver. My boss is greedy, cheap, a very unlikable person.
The views and opinions
are
really
yeah. He is a very disrespectful person, and clearly of a sinful heart. But that was not my responsibility. That's between him and God. My job was to drive a truck, and no matter whether it's driving a truck or any job, I don't think. I think the pastor in the video, he's describing that as the love of money, and it's like, no, I don't think so. It's the love of not being homeless. It's we all go out, for the most part. Most of us go out to secular jobs, and we have no control over what what the proceeds of our labor goes to. We have no control over that. We can only be responsible for our little part of it. So if my job is also as a musician, a session musician, or or a sound guy, or a roadie, or whatever, if that's my employment, I don't see how. I just don't. It's like Wolf said, a slippery slope. Where do you stop that? Being a musician is a, for some it's a joy, for others it's a habit, for some it's a career.
See, where you stop it, to me, that's pretty easy. If God is giving me an open doorway, and I pray about it, and God doesn't tell me no, then I fully believe if God is able to open doors and I'm willing to walk through them, I also believe He's going to shut those same doors if they're not what I'm supposed to do, if I'm actively seeking Him the way I'm supposed to.
Okay.
And so if He doesn't shut that door, then as long as I'm doing it, fully seeking Him, why shouldn't I walk through that door until He tells me to stop?
So here's the thing, and Chaplain Nera, as always, you're just so beautiful when it comes to this kind of stuff. Most people know that in a past life I was a sensei. I know that's difficult to understand. You look at me and you go, him? Yes. Him.
Yes, him.
Yeah. Not only was I a sensei, I was senior adult men's fighting champ 3 years in a row. And the year that I spent off training for an injury, came back and won it that year after the training. So some would say, a few people would say, I'm not the one. I look like the one. I may even act like the one.
He's not the one.
He's not the one. Okay. But as I began to move up the ranks, I was convinced to a moral certainty that I was going to be, quote unquote, a master. And I say well on the way to becoming such. Well on the way. You can make of that what you will. Until it was revealed to me what mastery in the martial arts meant to the ministry. At a certain level, there's a great divergence. At a certain level, if you're going to be a master of something, you have to buy into it, shall we say. You have to become part of the mindset. And that's not something I can do, because the mindset for the particular art that I was studying and teaching for many years was power is eternal internally. My power comes from me. My power comes from my training, from my focus, from my meditation. My chi gets stronger as I develop my physical prowess and my mental focus based on my understanding and my training and my discipline and me, I, me, and my. That is counter the Christian walk. And God shut it down. I don't mean closed it. I don't mean politely pushed me out the door. I mean shut it down. Because I wasn't willing to let it go. Even after I recognized that, I turned down a position in the higher thing just because I realized that I wasn't going to do it. So I turned down the advancement and didn't get out of the system and didn't stop doing it. And God said, "You're not listening." And He shut it down. Not in shame, not in confusion, not in anything. Nobody was technically hurt. Nobody lost any money. We didn't have billion-year contracts that people were. None of that happened. No scandal, no confusion. He shut it down. And when he shut it down, I mourned the loss. So technically, I was the woman who turned back and turned into salt. See, so this is not a game to me. This is this subject it's cute for the coffee table. No, it's not cute for the coffee table. We have got to know the answers to this.
Okay, so here's where we are. We've mentioned quite a few secular jobs, and we've all worked a secular job at some point in time or another in our lives. But what this is addressing is not the secular job. It's addressing who we worship and how serious we are about what we offer to God. And is it proper? Is it right? Is it fair unto God for me to use the same hands that He created, the same mind, the same voice that He created for His worship? Because that's who I say I am. I say I am a Christian and a worshiper of the one true God. And take those same appendages and promote secular music.
Are we dealing only with the music? This is where it gets kind of, I don't want to say murky, but this is where it gets definitely kind of blurred. I am not ever not going to be a sensei. I am not ever not going to be a sound engineer. I'm not ever not going to be a husband. And dare I say it, I'm not ever not going to be a pastor.
Well, what we need to first get, I think, as a basis here is you can have music without worship, but part of worship is very distinctly music. Because if you go back in the original language in the book of Genesis, when God Himself created the universe, He didn't just speak it into existence. The word that is used is a constant sound. He is singing it into existence. And humans are the only creatures in this universe that can make music. Animals can't make music. We call it bird song. We call it all these things. But they cannot create music. That is part of the gift of the breath of God, is that music. Because if you think about it, music in and of itself is a creative force. You can change someone's mind, someone's heart. You can change their emotions. You can create entire worlds inside someone's imagination simply with sound waves. The entire universe is designed and created out of sound waves. And so if we are using that incorrectly, that is what Satan has taken. So he took pure worship and he then separated something out of it. It still has its power. Why do you think music is so impressive? He still took its power to a lesser degree and twisted it. And so we have to define what is worship. Worship in and of itself is a lifestyle. It is an entire being of a human, that you can live a lifestyle of worship in everything that you do. I mean, even the New Testament says, let everything that you do be to the glory of God. That could mean scrubbing a toilet to the glory of God. That is still worship. But not all music is worship. But
Correct.
Music is part of worship. And we have to establish that foundation, because I can have a lifestyle of worship being a property inspector, because that's what I do. And there can be musicians that do not worship God, and they just do it as a job, but they're still worshiping something. And so we have to establish what is worship and what is just music, because Satan has taken that to be something so different than what we think it is. And until we get that foundation, we're on the wrong path.
Chaplain Nera, if the music is not worshiping God, then who is it worshiping?
It gives its power to anything and everything but.
Okay. And anything and everything but, if it's not worshiping God, then who gets that?
Anything and everything but, which we know is all one creature.
Okay. Lucifer is recognized as a cherub, the fallen cherub, who was among those who worshipped God around his throne.
He was the chief.
And so music was his thing. And when he was cast out of heaven, he didn't lose that ability.
Correct.
Okay? Music is used around the world in religions
Every religion.
everywhere.
Every belief structure, every religion, music is a part of absolutely every aspect of our life, whether secular, whether sacred, whether demonic, or whether cultish.
And that's why I asked the question, if it's not going to God, if it's not going to the one true God, then who is it for? And who does it glorify?
Well, see, see, Bishop doesn't remember these things as I do, because I do. There was a young man who was in the church at Deliverance who had a talent for dancing. And he didn't play with it. He was a very good dancer. So good, however, that he was actually asked to dance for a group. I don't know if you remember who I'm talking about, because I don't. But he was asked to dance for a group, and you heard about it. And when you heard about it, you were like, no, that's not going to happen. He is not going to go on the stage with this particular group. They wanted him as a dancer, and you shut it down. Do you remember any of this now? No, you don't.
No, I don't.
That's okay. I do.
Okay.
I do. And you were quite emphatic about you are not going to be dancing in a club Saturday night and in church Sunday morning. Okay. And I thought to myself, at the time, I understood what you were trying to do, because for you, what I got from that whole scenario was it wasn't just about the dancing. This group, it would have been a lot more. It's not just dancing. It would have been drugs. It would have been women. It would have been men, whatever. It was secular to its core. And you did not want to expose him to that scene. The dancing was not going to be a slippery slope. And he honored what you said, obviously, because he didn't go. But I don't know what happened to him today, because I don't remember who he is and all that stuff. But anyway, so for the record, you're not spouting or you're not saying something that you don't believe.
No.
This has been you, ever since I've known you. Everybody who knows me knows of my lifestyle in terms of where I was. And even when I started in the church, even when I started in the church, in the Daisy Dukes and the cutoffs and the whole bit in the T-shirts, they weren't ripped, but they were T-shirts. Okay. So to some people, this is a fine line. And to other people, it's a hard and fast rule, brick wall.
Let me tell you something myself, okay? I grew up with traveling and singing gospel. And very close friend of mine, more like a brother, his parents came up in gospel music. His mother, in fact, wrote the song, "I Don't Know What You Come to Do. I Come to Praise His Name." And their family group and my family's group traveled and sang together. Both of us were drummers. And subsequently, we're both now preachers. He's in California. I'm here in Boston. He and we had a conversation a few months ago. And he said, "Bruh, I don't understand why it is that the songs that are being written and are being sung as gospel songs are getting such a hit, and what we're doing is not being recognized." And we thought about it for a moment. I said, "You know what?" And this goes to an earlier idea. The gospel music industry is run primarily by secular people. Okay, the Stellar Awards is no more than
the Grammys.
The Grammys,
Yeah.
with a gospel label slapped on it, because the after party is just that. It is an after party.
Yeah.
And the very same things that goes on in the after parties for the Grammys is going on at the after party for the Stellar Awards.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've both seen what goes on after the concert, after the gospel concert. We've both seen that.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Okay. So what do you do with that? We were protected by God, I believe, from that environment, because it leads to excess. It leads to sin. It leads to a poor light on the gospel message. You say, "Well, it's a job." No, it's not. It's not just a job. It's the very same thing that you would offer to God.
But please forgive me, Dan's brain. It's not just a job. It's an invention.
No, it's more than a job. What we offer to God, what we offer to Him, should be presented to Him holy and acceptable, which is our reasonable service. And be not conformed to the world.
But be ye transformed by the renewing of our mind. Doesn't that scream that the person's mindset is the most important part of what's going on?
No, that screams that your relationship with God is what's important. And anything that compromises that is a problem.
Wolf, what say you?
Oh, let's see, brother. So, as I've said, I'm kind of in the middle here, because on one hand, I do agree with Bishop that there is a line between what is sacred and what is not, and there is a line between what is worshipful to God and what is not. But I feel like two things. Number one, if we're going to continue that discussion, then we have to establish what is sacred and what is not. Because if we're going to go by the definition of what is sacred is that which is worshipful to God, not everything you hear on Christian radio is going to meet that definition, because half of it is praising self-righteousness instead of actually praising God.
Right.
So we have to establish where is that line. But the other thing that I want to call out, and this is not meant to be directed at any individual in particular, but it is the question of, if you are that person who is going to a musician and saying, you shouldn't be taking the job in that club, or you shouldn't be taking the job running sound for this artist, are you then willing to put in the time and effort and love of praying that they would get more sacred gigs? Are you willing to then put your prayers where your words are? Are you willing to put your heart there and pray that those people, and put in the time that they'll be sent more sacred gigs?
And see, this is one of the points that I made on the link, the chat. Wow, a new language, a new verbiage. This is one of the comments I made on the chat. It's easy to say all of this, but is the church willing to put its proverbial money where its proverbial mouth is in terms of are the people who attend that church, are the people who attend this pastor's church, are they willing to be giving enough sacrificially, providing for the need, so that I don't have to?
Historically, we know where that answer is.
Yeah.
That Christians don't pay. Christians tend to be all about what's free.
And you're supposed to, and how many times we're doing this ministry for the Lord, so you should be willing to work. If you're doing a concert, everybody who's done this knows, a 2-hour concert is 6 hours of work.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're the musician,
Minimum.
probably 12.
Yeah, and if you're the sound guy, double that, because there's prep, there's packing, there's doing it, there's unpacking and testing, and prep and packing and doing.
And owning and paying for all the equipment that you got to bring to do it.
I mean, in the early days, my wireless mics that I had that you preached off, those things cost me $200 a piece. I dare someone to drop one.
Yeah.
So now,
And that's when Sensei comes in.
No.
herein begs the question: is what you're doing enough to compromise your soul?
And that becomes the issue, doesn't it now? In other words, when I was doing sound, when I was running the projectors at the X-rated movie house, now I can tell you point blankly that after, if you're doing an 8-hour shift, nothing on that screen is exciting by the end of the day. It just isn't, okay? And you have to watch it to make the changes, because I did sound I did projectors when you had to make the changes manually. At one time I was certified in arc projectors. Those are the ones that have the carbon rods. And then they switched to the light bulb projectors and all of that stuff. But I'm just saying, I worked in quote unquote family theaters, but I also got calls, for the X-rated theaters when somebody didn't show up. It was a job. Now, is that a job I would do in my current iteration? The answer is no. Not doing that. If God is not providing for me what I need, is it fair to say I need to check my relationship with God? Boy, does that open a can of worms? Somebody?
With the Levites, if you look, a lot of the laws within the book of Leviticus, within Deuteronomy, and all of that, the law was also not just designed to keep someone in the mindset of, hey, you can't do it on your own, you need God. It was meant to show us our weaknesses. But within that, God had designed a system to take care of the Levites so they could fully use all of their time to worship God, and also not to the point of burnout. He specifically designed in rest and shifts and times so they could still be with their families. And the year after they got married, they were not to do their job. They were to be at home and be a husband and all of those things. And so God has specifically designed that into the sacrifice, into the worship, into the temple.
Excuse me, you're starting to feed back. That honking and
and so
that's okay.
If we don't have that, then we don't have the ability to worship God with the full intent, because if the church isn't willing to do those things, if Christians are not willing to take care of the ones who are supposed to be leading worship, because the other side of this is it was only set up for the Levites to do that. If you weren't a Levite, you still had to have other jobs. You still had to do those things. So the question is, who are the Levites? Because obviously God didn't set it up that all of them were supposed to be that way.
Here is what I can say to you. I was young, and now I'm old. And I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread.
So but that, don't get me wrong, Bishop, that requires that we are the righteous. And to what level his seed begging bread? In other words, Dan is right. Do you pay a magician? Do you pay a musician? Why do I keep saying magician? Do you pay a musician?
I mean, they're not different.
Well, do you pay a musician who's going to be, how often is your church service? The most strenuous services requirements I've ever seen were twice a week for Bible study, for Sunday morning worship, and then you can add in choir rehearsal, and you can add in funerals or weddings.